All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Pokemon. I've got a very interesting video for you guys today. We've been talking about Charizards a lot lately. We've been talking about Pokemon prices falling lately, and the first edition base set Charizard yet again hit a new low with the sale yesterday of a PSA 10 first edition Charizard, $250,000, which is a near 40% dip this year alone. So just in March of 2021, March of this year, this card had hit a record high. First edition PSA 10 Charizard, sold by Golden Auctions, including the buyer's premium, was right at $400,000. $399,750 was what that Golden Auction Charizard went for. And that was at the time, that was the peak. And up until that peak, this card was not dipping at all. It was going seemingly nowhere but up. Again, the crown jewel of Pokemon card collecting. This is like this caps off your collection. If you're a serious Pokemon card collector, this is your Moby Dick, for lack of a better word. This is the card that you want. It's a very strong indicator of how the Pokemon market is doing in general. Now, this card taking a 37% dip to $250,000, I think is pretty significant. Now, a lot of people were commenting on the condition of this card, saying this was a weak PSA 10. And this brings a lot of things into question as far as the, from 10 to 10, very inconsistent. It seems like you can have a very varying range of actual condition. You can get a PSA 10, put two PSA 10s next to each other. They could be very different in visible condition. And people were saying that this was a weak PSA 10 and should have been a strong PSA 9 or even just a regular PSA 9. So I'll show you guys some pictures of this card here. Looks like they zoomed in on this part right here. Is there some damage up in that corner? So we'll try to go over this very finely. So earlier in the year, it was like a month ago, there was another sale of this card, which was a significant drop, which was about 25%. So this card sold for $311 at auction, maybe about a month ago. Looks like there's some scratches on the holo there. So it sold for $311 about a month ago, which was about a $90,000 drop from the Golden Auctions, which I thought was significant. I thought that was going to start a series of drops, and it looks like that was right. That was correct. But yeah, looking at this card, yeah, look, there's whitening. Look at the top of this card, man. There's whitening all over this thing. Is this a legitimate PSA 10? Look at the whitening on these bottom corners here. Hold on, let me try to get this. All right. Look at the whitening on the bottom corners. Do you guys see that? Yeah, this card, I can't tell if that's on the case or if that's on the card. Okay, definitely not a great looking card. These areas that they zoomed into in the pictures, I'm trying to see what they're trying to indicate here. It does look like there's some scratches on the holo, to be honest. But again, it's hard to tell if that's the case or the card. So this could have been a condition thing. If you guys saw my previous video about Gary's thoughts on the 311, the 311K Charizard that sold about a month ago, he said it was because it was a weak PSA 10 looking at the condition of the card. And this one certainly looks like it might be a weak candidate. But it was interesting. I said in that 311 video when that first happened that if the next Charizard that sells after that 311 is another drop, I think we're going to see a lot more of these cards come up for auction, and I think we're going to see them hit lower and lower prices, especially possibly people that have these weaker PSA 10s. But it is also worth noting that there was also a sale yesterday for $350, and this was by PWCC, so $350,000. So that was a jump up from the 311. It's kind of hard to tell from these pictures. These aren't the greatest pictures in my opinion. This was $350, so this was about 40 grand more than the last one. View high res. Huh. I thought I pulled up so they had a video of it here, I think. No, this was the 311, I think. Yeah, this was the $311,000 one. So that was March 28th, so that wasn't that long ago. So they did a little YouTube video on it, I guess. And Gary was saying this was a weaker 10 as well. Centering does look a little bit off. The back looks a lot better on that card than it did on this other one. I mean, look at the back of this guy. Yeah, I can definitely see why this was weak. But still, this is a very significant price drop in a card that, again, is the Holy Grail. And again, I totally understand. If you're going to spend the money for a card like this, you're talking about $250,000. This is the cream of the crop. This is the #1 card that you want to get. If you're going to spend that kind of money, you probably want the best of the best. And looking at these pictures, man, it is kind of interesting how rough this card really looks. It's kind of crazy, actually. That's been a big thing that a lot of people have been talking about with this whole computerized grading, this AI grading that PSA is supposedly going to be implementing very, very soon with the purchase that they made of that Genament company. Genament was a software company that specialized in a software that grades coins and cards and stamps, and they want to implement that into their grading system. So the inconsistency factor, like I said, you can take two PSA 10s, put them next to each other, and you can find these vast differences like you're seeing in the condition of this card. There's going to be other PSA 10s that look nothing like this, that have no whitening. And on this, I mean, it's crazy. Looking at this, there's a ton of whitening on this card. Are you guys seeing it? Look at the top edge there of the back of that card. Look at the corners, and then the bottom, man. There's quite a significant amount of whitening from the looks of these pictures. I'm trying to find a good picture of that scratch that it looked like there was a scratch on the bottom of the hollow. Let me go back to this picture here. See it by his foot? I can't tell if that's just part of the hollow or if that's a scratch on the hollow. I don't know, man, but it certainly is interesting. And like I said, this is the conversation that a lot of people have been having with this new AI technology. If that's going to lead to more consistency between PSA 10s, which might cause a price drop in older PSA 10s, because you have this inconsistency between 10s with the older ones, because obviously you would think there's going to be a larger margin of error when a human is grading a card versus a software or a computer or whatever, however they're going to implement this AI technology, whatever it is. You would think that a computerized grading system would have a smaller margin of error than a human grader. And this is kind of the issue with the older PSA 10s, whereas if all PSA 10s in the future, and again, we don't know the extent to which they're going to implement this technology, but for PSA 10s in the future, if they're going to be much better 10s, much more strictly graded or much more fairly graded or much more consistently graded, whatever the case is, would that lead to a decrease in the value of 10s from the era prior to the AI era? You guys know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to see when they announce how exactly they're going to implement this technology and what exactly, to what extent they're going to use it. If they're going to grade every card with this technology, if they're still going to have like crossover grading where maybe the computer grades a little bit and a person still grades some of it, or what exactly they're going to be doing. But I think that's going to be an interesting thing to consider, because this is a perfect example of a card selling for substantially less. Same card, same grade, selling for 40% less than the same card, same grade a month ago, because of the varying condition and because of the inconsistency of the grading. And another thing that Gary has been talking a lot about recently, I've seen him speak very negatively about PSA. He doesn't like the fact that they shut down. He doesn't like the inconsistency in their grading. There's a lot of things that Gary said he did not appreciate about the way that PSA has been operating lately. And it makes me wonder about these PSA price dips. We've seen it all across the board now. We've seen it with base set Charizard. Unlimited has dropped. Evolutions Charizard has dropped substantially. First edition base set Charizard, we've seen the base set Pikachu drop, we've seen the special delivery Pikachu drop. All the PSA 10 variants of these cards have experienced substantial drops in value, and I'm wondering what the catalyst for these drops is. Is it the fact that PSA is shut down? How is that impacting these cards and these prices? Is it maybe the bubble is bursting? Is the market crashing? Is the interest starting to wane? Are less people wanting to buy these cards? What is the reason for these sudden drops all across the board in very large, very noticeable drops? This isn't 10, 15, 20%. You're talking about the cream of the crop crown jewel, the first edition base set Charizard, dropping nearly 40% in value. And again, all these factors considered, like the condition of the card, but it's just another thing to consider. Maybe this AI or this computerized software grading, whatever, maybe that announcement is leading to a drop in the value of these past 10s because people are going to wait for the computer graded 10s because maybe they're more consistent, maybe they're more strictly graded, maybe it's more of a flawless system, a smaller margin of error. It's very interesting. But I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you think the reason is for this drop in the price of the Charizard? I think it's very fascinating stuff. And we're seeing it all across the board, these massive drops in prices. But again, let me know in the comment section below. The condition does look rough on this card, to be honest. So that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet already. As always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Pokemon, signing out.